right. Hey, welcome, guys. Hope you guys had a great Easter with your families. So we have our next 2-day coming up in Scottsdale. I'm going to drop the link for you guys. For those who got the event pass, you should just be able to reach out to us and we'll give you the event pass link so you don't have to pay for it, obviously. So we're already in Q2, right? So we're through Q1 into Q2. I'm curious, like, what are some of the habits that you guys have created? It's always good to take evaluation. And sometimes it sucks to evaluate where you're at because you're like, I'm not where I want to be. I already know that. But what you measure increases. So unless you actually measure it, it won't get better. Unless you ask yourself like the hard questions, it won't get better. Unless you know your math, it won't get any better. So those are all things that you can do. I do have like a little questionnaire. If you have not done this, I highly encourage you guys to do this. I call it like the next 12-month clarity questions. Right. So I built like this daily action plan for my business, and it's become very helpful. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it to you guys. I'm going to go over it, and then I'm also going to give you guys a few other things that I think will help you guys be successful. So my daily action plan, right? And I print it off every single day, and I get hyper focused on like what is the one thing. And I actually print it off the day before, right? Because your morning actually starts, like your day actually starts the day before. So if you're not going to bed, most people have an alarm to wake up. You should have an alarm that actually makes you go to sleep. Like, hey, my alarm just went off. It's time to shut it down. Time to go to bed. And one of the things that I like to do is if you have a hard time falling asleep, well, there's a few things. One, taking a cold shower before you go to bed, like it actually gets your temperature like lower so you can fall asleep into a deeper sleep quicker. So there's that. Another thing that I like to do, and these are just like side habits, but I'll tape my eyelids shut and my mouth shut, and it also allows you to get into a deeper sleep. But for those who are like big thinkers, who have a hard time like kind of shutting it off, go ahead and write down, and this is a great way to do it. Like, hey, 20 minutes before bed, go ahead and write down all the things that you need to make sure you get done the day before, or the ideas that you have, all those things, and kind of put them on the shelf, right? Like even before you go into the house, like figure out how to put the certain things on the shelf. Because honestly, worrying about it isn't going to make anything better. So it's like, hey, I already know I'm going to handle that in the morning, and there's nothing I can do right now that's going to solve that problem. And so I might as well enjoy my family. I might as well be present. I might as well get a good night's sleep so I can wake up and crush it. Because if you don't do that, then worry's going to eat away at you, and you're not going to be as productive, right? And for some of you guys have taught yourselves how to be productive in a state of worry, which is not necessarily a good thing. Like imagine having peace of mind. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have drive, right? And that's where maybe some of it comes from. And but there's a better way, right? Okay, so what I like to do is I'll print this off the night before, and then it says my vision. So write down your big picture, and then who you're becoming and why it matters. So it's like, what's your vision? It could be for the quarter, it could be for the year, it could be for the day. Like, what's your big vision? Says he without a vision will perish. So you need to be clear on like what's the one thing that you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you're trying to make your first 150K. Maybe you're trying to make $1 million as a real estate agent. Like, what is that vision and what's the why? And your why always has to be bigger than you. And so, how do you create a why that's so big? The only way it's possible is without just you, right? Like, it means that you got to help other people. It means that you got to get God involved. It means that your why has to be bigger than you. And then, so night before, set tomorrow up to win. So I like writing down like top win for tomorrow, and then top win like number two. And so it's like, what's the energy needed, right? Obviously, you know that you need to show up at 100%. And a lot of times, like, what would happen? I used to have a fear of like, what would happen if Kyle would show up at 100%, right? I think I'd freak some people out. But what would happen if Sierra or Rex, like, what would happen if you guys showed up at 100%? What would happen if John showed up at 100% or Scott showed up at 100%? Like, how different would your life be, right? Instead of operating, because a lot of you guys can get by on a 60, 70% just because you're doing better than most. But what would happen if you showed up at 100? And I like writing down your win for tomorrow because, if you look at Michael Jordan used to hold up the number of wins before he started that championship game. So if he was on championship, like if he had already won 2 championships, as he was going in, he would hold up the number 3 as if he had already won it. And so, like, what number, like, what do you need to hold up? What do you need to believe that it's yours before it's actually yours? And so, what win do you need to believe that you're going to accomplish before the day even starts? And so, I like writing those things down. And then today's number one outcome. So, the single most important result for that day. So, what is the number one thing that needs to happen for you to move your needle, right? And maybe it's setting that listing appointment. Maybe it's getting a buyer's contract signed, right? What is the one thing that needs to happen today that would move the needle, right? Obviously, selling a house is not done in a day. So it's like, what's the one thing that could help you do that, right? And maybe it's setting an appointment, right? But I think for a lot of you guys, it's like, okay, if I got a contract signed today, like that would be a good day, right? That would be a win. If I can get my buyer's agreement signed, if I can get that listing agreement signed, if I can get under contract, maybe you need to get under contract on something, uh, and you're like, hey, I got buyer's agreements, hey, I got a listing, but I need to get something under contract so it can close in the next 35, 40 days. Because, after this next one closes, I don't know where my next deal is coming from. So maybe that needs to be your number one focus outcome, right? So understanding what that is for you, that's actually going to move the needle. And it's not good enough just to have one, because it's like, yeah, you got one deal in the pipeline that's under contract, but that's not enough, because what happens when that deal falls out? I talked to a gal last year who had like 23, she closed 50 plus deals, but she also had 23 fall out. Like, imagine if she was just good with her deals that were under contract, like, and didn't push. Man, like, you never know. Like, there's a lot of business falling out right now because of not having proper lenders or not setting right expectations or whatever it is. And so you cannot be good with just one or two deals under contract. Like, okay, so understanding, like, what's my number one outcome? And then 3 things you're thankful for. I think this puts you in the right mindset. So you're not going to do that in the night of. You're gonna do this stuff the night before, but today, like, you write that in the morning. 3 things I'm thankful for. So just writing down, like, gratitude, like having an attitude of gratitude goes a long way. And then what's your daily quest? Like, what's your 1 or 2 quests that you want to get done that day? Like, what's the number one focus for the day? But maybe the number one quest is going to be making 30 phone calls, making 50 phone calls, making 100 phone calls, making 200 phone calls. Like, what is your number one quest? What's your number 2 quest, right? Um, and so understanding, like, what those things are. So, and then here's your 4F check-in. So I go off of faith, family, fitness, finances, cross the ones off that you don't want to. But I like kind of having little check boxes. Okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. Journaling. I think a lot of times people underestimate the value of journaling. I like journaling just for like 10 minutes a day, and it just puts you in a place of gratitude and thankfulness, and just get things out of your head into paper. Um, and then evening reflection, same type of thing. And it's just a good way to, like, kind of start your day and end your day. And people, start their day on their phone and they end their day on their phone, and they start their day on the news and they end their day on the news, and they wonder why they're worried. And I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying the truth. Okay. Top calls, notes, follow-ups. So, Alex Hermosi says you should make 100 calls a day until you can spend 100 calls a day, or 100 DMs a day until you can spend $100 a day. And so, if you're not spending $100 a day on your ad, which I don't think anyone on this call is, then you should be making 100 calls. You should do, and if you got to split it up, do 50 calls, 50 DMs. I don't care what it is. But effort is the energy to overcome resistance. So if you, and the truth is like, the leads that we're generating, those are people with somewhat of a pain. Like, they obviously clicked on your ad for a reason. And so if you just spent time consistently calling the people that were interested for whatever reason, and built some type of rapport, built some type of relationship, and now some of these are going to be hotter or colder or warmer or whatever. They're all somewhat warm. How many of these? I mean, imagine. I mean, for some of you guys, it says, what's the one thing you could do for the next 30 days that would show that you're serious? Like, what if you did 100 calls for the next 30 days? Would that show? I mean, that would be pretty serious. I'd be pretty impressed. If I was, now there needs to be training with that. You don't want to just be making 100 calls. I mean, here's the thing. I believe that when I first got into the business, right, a lot of my calls was like training grounds, and I learned a lot. Okay. now that you're maybe more veteran in the business, like you can make 20 calls and set 10 appointments, right? Um, maybe you can't. I don't know. But regardless of it, like you need to, if you're not making 100 calls, somebody for you should be making 100 calls, right? Like I mean, it's sales, right? We wonder why we don't have business, but it's like you don't have anybody picking up the phone for you. You're not picking up the phone. Um, and yeah, are people going to drop into your calendar? And yes, are people going to come and say, hey, I want to work with you? And hey, I want to do this. And are you going to have people that pass you business? Yes. But you have to have I believe you have to have someone that is generating business for you. And there's a smarter way, an easier way to do it. And that's kind of what we teach you. So, anyways, I'm going to drop this in the calendar for you or in the chat so you guys can have this and you guys can make it your own. And then the next thing I wanted to show you guys was this bad boy. Okay. So cool. So this is kind of like a very this is what I call the one page, right? So this is like your one page for the year. If you haven't done this, I strongly encourage you to do this. But here's the next 30 days. Like, how many calls did you make? How many contacted? How many appointments did you set? How many contracts did you get signed, right? Like these are all things that you should be paying attention to. This is like the Q1 for the next 30 days through April and you kind of have your KPIs, like your tracking sheets, like, hey, how many did I get done? It's kind of nice because it tracks everything for you. It gives you like the percentages and all that kind of stuff based on like your goals of how many calls. Like if you're like, hey, I can't do 100, but I could do 50. Hey, I can't do 50, but I could do 20. Like, imagine if you just did 20 calls a day, right? Like, come on, like you would crush it over the next 30 days. Now some of you guys need to make 100 calls a day, and some of you don't. So we're in Q2, so it's like, hey, what's your entire quarter look like? What's on track? What's not on track? All of those types of things, right? Um, and I'm gonna clean this up a little bit before I send it to you. But you guys can see what I'm doing. I don't really care to be honest. I'll just send it. So I'm not done with my Q2. Working on it. So I want 4 expansion leaders, 4 sales, 4 sales a month, just from like production side, from the cash offer, and then 12K in MRR over the next quarter. So um, that is what I'm working on. So I'll go ahead and share this with you guys. And then, but here's the thing: like if you don't look at, if you can create it, but if you don't look at it daily, if you don't have a habit to look at your goals or look at your math that you're doing, then you're missing it. You're completely missing it. And so uh, I would I would look at your stuff. Like you got to. Like it's a hard thing to do, but it's what allows you to scale. Even if it's like a hard thing to look at. Like man, sometimes even looking at your bank account sucks. You're like, oh shoot, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at the bills that I got. I already know they're there. I don't want to look at them. No, look at them. Like I mean, it's important. Um, so, anyways, this is a few things. So the one page, this kind of gives you clarity for the year, like what's your overall goal for your 10-year, 5-year, 3 to 5 years, annual objectives, and then you got your quarterly objectives. And then this is like your 30-day blitz. Like, what does it look like for you over the next 30 days? And this shouldn't be like 10 things. It should be like one thing. What's the one thing that you're doing over the next 30 days that's going to show that you're serious? And then how do you track like KPIs for that? Like, what does that look like, right? And then quarterly, we're in Q2, so you can put in like where are you at quarterly, like April, May, and June. Um, you know, all of those things. So, and then you got Q3, Q4. So, and then you can always duplicate this. So you can just go ahead and duplicate if you wanted to do instead of saying it. Oh, instead of saying Q1, you can just say like April 30 days, and then you can just duplicate it and do May 30 days, June 30 days, right? And it's just a good tracking. So I'll go ahead and drop this for you guys as well towards the end, so you guys can have this. I think it's just good practice. Okay. So those two things, right? So if you print it off, some of you guys like to print things off and write things down. That's me. I also like to track it digitally because that paper gets thrown away, right? So the paper gets thrown away, but it's nice for that day. But you always want to make sure that you're putting things, you put time in the calendar to track your stuff at the end of the day for 15 minutes or in the evening when you're planning the next day. Be like, okay, cool. How many calls did I get in today? Okay, I got 71 calls in. Okay, how many people did I actually talk to? Okay, those are all things that you should be tracking. All right. And then, oh, okay. So what I think is working best right now is still the cash offer. We just closed. I just closed one in a different state. I'm looking at closing one in Florida. Now, when I say close, I'm just referring it out. I'm not actually um, I'm not a licensed agent in that state, so therefore I'm not practicing real estate. I'm generating a lead and passing it off. So about to put one under in Portland. But Darren, our boy Darren in Columbus, I'm going to play this testimonial for you guys real quick. And before I play it, I want to make the point that been running the multiple offers. I want to make the point that Darren is been in the business for a long time and he's generating leads. He's a good agent. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and play it and then I'll make my point. He's been running the multiple offers, cash offer, guaranteed sale offer. What are the specific results that you recently just came in with?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. We just started running it. It's probably been just a little bit over a week. We sold 150 homes last year, so some things are working. And I just keep continually testing new things to see how I can sell more homes next year. And from what I can tell already in the first week, I know it might be early to say, oh yeah, for sure, but so far out of the gate, if you can get 9 leads and go on a couple listing appointments and take 2 down, that's an amazing result. Because I've tried a lot of things, postcards and this type of thing, ads in newspapers, billboards, all these different things. Show me something else that works at that scale with that type of ROI. And there's not very many things out there that are going to provide you with those results. So I have a team of agents up here. So I'm running the ads. I'm giving the leads to my team members. I'm giving these leads to an agent. He's only been licensed for a year. Wow. So this isn't some super high powered agent that, is out there crushing listings all the time. This is someone that's pretty new. He's doing well, but I don't want to give you the impression that you have to be some rock star listing agent to convert these leads. So he's good. Yeah. He's doing a great job. He's following up. He's doing what he's supposed to. From those 9 leads, we've set 4 appointments, and we've already taken 1 listing, signed listing. We had an appointment yet out of the 4. We had another appointment yesterday where the guy said, yeah, this looks good. Let me think about it. And we're following back up with him today to see if we can get a signed listing agreement. And we have another appointment this afternoon, which would be the 4th appointment, to go and sit down and show them the cash option. So, from a conversion standpoint, we're not doing anything real super magical, and people are going for the listing.
Yeah. So, I think the beautiful thing about that is that yes, Darren sold 150 homes last year. His team did, and he's a good agent. But the person who's converting his cash offer deals right now, it's a brand new agent who's been in the business for less than 12 months. So now, did that agent go through the NAEA training? Yes. Right. Are they probably talented? Yes. Like I'm sure there's some talent involved. But the point is that it's a brand new agent and they, from those 9 leads, have four appointments and have taken one on already. And I believe he got that second one. And then he went on, he has another 2 in the calendar. Cause we just took that was last week that we did that. If you're not running the cash offer, I think you're missing out on a major opportunity to get listings. And yes, I know homes are sitting a little bit longer, but the truth is, for every listing you get, like if you do it right, you should get 3 to 4 buyers on every one because you have the bait. You have the ability to run the open houses. You have the ability to run ads for that listing. You have the ability to market to the neighborhood, right? You have the like you have it, right? You have the ability to go do a video on that house and run ads to it and put it on your YouTube and build a brand in that neighborhood. Like there's so many things that when you have the listing that you get leverage. And um and yes, do you want buyers who are ready to buy now? Yes, you do, right? Um, but I still want to be in the listing game, period, right? Because listings are still selling. They're just the ones that aren't are the ones that aren't priced right or are the ones that aren't a good, aren't good listings, right? So with that said, I think it's the number one. It's the number one period. So we're excited to kind of get it turned back on into some markets. I'm gonna be running it in Colorado Springs. I'm gonna run it in Phoenix. I'm gonna run it in a couple of other markets because I can. And so I'm not trying to like hide it. I'm trying to tell you guys like you should do it too. It works. Um, and so over the next 30 days, what does that next 30 days look like for you guys? What's the one thing that you'll do that can make everything else significantly easier? And so yeah, so I'm going to drop those things in the chat for you guys. Can you share this document in the chat? Yes, I will share those documents in the chat right now. So let me do this one. So this is my 12-week. All right, so I'm going to make sure it's shareable. Ba, ba, ba. And make sure you guys make a copy of these because if you don't and you do all the work on it, then someone's gonna come through and delete it or put their own stuff on it, and you're gonna be really sad. So just make sure you go file, make a copy. I think I'm sharing it in a way that you have to make a copy, but I'm not 100%. And the other one is where is daily action plan? Bam. Yeah, and if you need anything like edited or anything like that, if you like want to change it up or whatever, I wouldn't get too much into the weeds. But something that you guys can do is you can go because I built all these with Claude, right? Which is an AI platform. It's better than ChatGPT. It's called Claude. You can do Claude code for like $20. Um, and anyways, I'm probably going to be going over some like trainings and coachings on here about with Claude. But if you don't like what I've created, you can go ahead and drop it in there into Claude and tell it to rewrite it for you, and it will. Like if you're looking to like put your branding on it, you want to add a section. Like there's 6 different expansion partners I'm coaching right now, so I wanted a tracking sheet for them, and I just expanded one of the pages, and it took it like 3 seconds. So just anything that you want to create, you can with like spreadsheets and even your ads. Like you guys should be creating your ads on your still ads on Claude. I'm gonna be going over like a Claude 101 probably over the next couple weeks with some of the AI stuff. It's pretty baller. And yeah. So that's what I got for you guys. I'm happy to answer questions. So just so you know, the 3 things that I went over, the first thing was the 12 questions. So I put that at the top. So you guys should have saw that. It was, or I guess the first thing I went over was going to the boot camp May 4th and 5th in Scottsdale. So that's at the top of your chat. The next thing that I did put in the chat for you guys was my questions, right? Clarity questions. Because if you can change your questions, you'll change your life. And so getting clarity there is going to be important. The next thing I put was your like 12-week year and kind of planning out but it has a lot of KPI trackers for 30 days and for the quarter. And you guys should have like what's going to help you guys move the ball down the field. And then I put a daily tracking sheet that you guys can print off. I like printing it the night before, sitting down for 15 minutes, getting my day planned the day before, and getting super clear on what's the one thing that's going to move the ball down the field for me and the agents that I'm working with. And then basically in the evening time sitting down and filling out my tracking sheet. So and it takes like 10-15 minutes, but it makes a big difference because like I said, like what you measure does increase. And so if you don't measure it, then you're just really not going to know. And therefore you can't make adjustments. So cool. That's what I got for you guys. I'm happy to answer questions on anything I shared. But wanted to just kind of keep you on the loop on what's working best. And then now that we're into Q2, what can you be doing to have an awesome Q2 and awesome summer?
Kyle, I have a question.
Yes.
Um, you said when you started with the cash offers, you started on expireds. Is that still like your main focus, or are you running a lot of ads for it?
Yeah. So I'm running ads now, but I started with expires and FSBOs because those are really cheap.
Oh, okay. Well, at what point did you transition and decide to run a funnel for it?
Uh, at what point? When I felt like I had the funds to be able to run 20 plus $20 to $30 a day ads.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm. That was a good question.
I did want to ask this too. I meant to ask you this last week when you talked about working expired and FSBOs. Did you just get their numbers and email addresses from RedX or something like that, and then just call them up and
Mhm.
see if they were interested at that point, or did you kind of send them mailers, or what did you do?
Yeah, great question. So I ran them through a 21-day workflow funnel within Attract ROI that Glenn should be able to give you access to if you have Attract ROI for the cash offer. You'll have to edit it and make it your own. Obviously, like there's a voicemail drop in there. You're gonna want to add like a professional headshot. You're gonna want to put your branding. You're also gonna want to put if you're grabbing data of like the last year or two of expireds, some of those may be listed, and so you want to make sure that you put at the bottom of like your text messages and emails not intended to market to any properties that are currently listed, so you don't get in trouble. Stuff like that. So those are all a couple of things that you could do. But I went to RedX, grabbed the data, and then dropped it into the workflow, and that's what kind of shook the trees and got people into conversation. So it went from like that was how we automated the outbound, and then the inbound was just filtering through people that were interested calling in. So
So,
I think I
so
didn't
you
I get
didn't like, yeah, you gave me some scripts, but I was just wondering, you didn't like start by just calling all these expireds and FSBOs up. You just went ahead and dropped them into the workflow and then followed up with them through that system, right?
correct. Yeah. So the workflow kind of what I would call like shook the trees of the data, and then anybody that was interested was therefore calling in. It was an inbound, and those are a lot easier to manage, right? You could spend time calling. It just depends, right? So it's like, um, I mean, like I said earlier, Alex Hermosi says you should make 100 calls a day. So if you called 100 expireds a day and told them that you had a market value cash offer and you can close in 3 weeks, would you be open to having a conversation? Like, is that something like would you be interested in that? They would say, well, yeah, maybe. How does it work? And you would say, just like it sounds. And then you would schedule an appointment, right? So you'd schedule a 15-minute Zoom call where you would put their home through the system, push it through underwriting, and then do a phone call with them that went over how the cash offer would work. Or instead of doing that, you would just schedule the listing appointment, and you would just go straight into yeah, just like it sounds. What I can do is I can schedule an appointment with you. I got time, Thursday, Friday afternoon, and we can go over how the cash offer works for your specific property. I'll push it through underwriting. We'll come in with the actual offers, so it's not preliminary. And we can also go over how we can list your house for top dollar. And so they'll be like, yeah, sure, of course, right? So now you're getting in the door, you're meeting them, you're doing it just like a listing presentation, and you're using the NAEA stuff to close them just like you normally would. And only 10% of those people are going to take the cash offer, 10 to 15. But if you do it right, you build rapport, you do all those things. I mean, taking a listing is, you should be able to do it. And and the better you get at the listing presentation, the better you're going to be at everything. So, I mean, it's just to make everything better. So it's almost like once you realize that the cash offer isn't a good fit, then you roll into what it would look like to list their property, right? And so it's a little bit longer of an appointment just because you're going over the cash offers, you're doing all those things. So, but from a time perspective, I mean, that's what I would do. Um, yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. It seems like it seems like you guys are really strict about your time when you're making phone calls, and they're quick calls, and it's all about setting the next appointment. Where I've always had a like just trouble in general getting off the phone with people. It seems like I can't make that many calls because my calls take forever, and I got to figure out how to get better at that to set the next appointment instead of like just
Yeah, because you're not.
continue to talking to them now.
Yeah, there's very few times you're going to close somebody over the phone, right? Like I have done it where I close them on Zoom, but you'll just know from the beginning of the conversation, right? Like as soon as I know that I'm not going to close them, I automatically go in and set the whole goal of that conversation becomes setting the second appointment, right? Um,
Okay.
and so a call shouldn't be longer than 15. Like they should be like 5 minutes, right? Like the whole point. Because unless you know you can close somebody on Zoom or you can close them on the phone, like how many people are going to close over the phone? Like how many people are actually going to get on the phone with you and be like, yeah, send over the listing agreement. I'll sign right now. Like, no,
Nobody.
nobody. Like, no. Like a Zoom call, I've closed people on Zoom. Um, and that's possible. But that's with them watching the video before they get on the call. That's with all the right things working, and they get on the call, and then I take them through the process of the cash offer. I mean, it's just like a listing appointment. Take them through the process of a cash offer, and then I close them on the and then I close them um on listing their house. So, and that can happen over Zoom, 100%. Any other questions? Nada. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited to hear about your guys' Q2 goals and implementing some of this stuff. Like I said, it doesn't do any good just to get a bunch of spreadsheets and then not fill them out. So definitely put time in your calendar to get them done and create some habits to you know to generate the business that you guys want to generate. So
I have one other question for you, Kyle. It's a little bit off topic, but it might help me.
yeah, let's go.
Um, you got 4 kids, right?
I do.
Yeah, so do I. So here's my question. This is the number one hardest part of real estate for me is like how do you manage all that you're doing and still be present with your kids?
Yeah, that's a
Like
great.
where do you find that time balance? Because I'm mom, and I don't know at your house, but at my house, the world stops if mom doesn't run the house. And it's like, I'm so torn with my time because
Yeah.
I want to do all these things at work. But at some point, if I don't just shut it down and, come home and cook dinner and take care of my kids, then what's it all for? So
Yep.
work-life balance, right? So how do you do it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think being really disciplined with my time is how I do get more done. I think also understanding like leverage, right? So leverage meaning like what are the levers that you can pull in your business that's going to give you your time back? So for me, it's like pulling levers of other people, right? So what are the other people that I can pull to, whether it's my virtual assistant, whether it's the agents that I'm coaching, whether it's those are different levers that I can pull. So whether it's an employee lever, virtual assistant, the system like the AI agents or like AI can give you different time back. Now those all take time to create, and so but knowing like, hey, if I took 6 hours to build this system, it's going to give me an hour back of my week for the rest of the year, right? If I or 2 hours a week for the rest of the year, like that, then it's a beautiful thing. So it's may take time to build systems, but knowing it's going to give you your time back. So it's like you're sacrificing um, maybe like getting on the phone, making 100 phone calls, but you're going to build a system that's going to help you give you your time back or help, build that business. And so it's just like doing the right things in the right order. So meaning like, okay, what are the systems that I need to build that are going to give you my time back? Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard thing. I have a ton of respect for moms that are in real estate because it is like so demanding and it does definitely. I think like the most important thing is your kids, and so because it doesn't do any good to get to the finish line and make $500,000 in a year or even $150,000 in a year if that means that you're not going to have a relationship with your kids, and so it's like really understanding, okay, what levers can I pull? So I would read the book Buy Back My Time. I'd also read the book No BS for Time Management. I think those are two great books that could help you um, with your time. And then it's I use the app called App Blocker, and it blocks apps on my phone so I can be super present when I am home. I'll leave the phone out like in the garage or in my car or whatever so I can be completely present because that phone will definitely distract you. Um, and people are always like, well, what about your clients or what about this? Or it's like, dude, I'll respond to my clients when I put the kids to bed. Like I'll spend 30 minutes and I'll bust out all my text messages and all the things that I need to get done in a 20-minute window versus period like getting distracted every 5 minutes with a ding and giving a half answer because I'm trying to make dinner or take the kids around the block or whatever it is. And I think getting another big thing is like your spouse, like you guys getting on the same page of like what's the sacrifice for each of you guys. Like, it's like, hey, okay, well, husband, like you gotta step up a little bit if we want to make this amount of money and your job kind of caps us at this and I have the opportunity to do this, like I need you to step up a little bit in this role or whatever it is. Like I'm not trying to tell you, but I think like being on the same page with your spouse is going to be huge too, with with anything, but basically like your work schedule, and then understanding like the sacrifice. Like people always want the big goal, but are they willing to sacrifice right to get there? And what are they willing to sacrifice? I got a text this morning, and I'll just I think this is a great question, but so So I was texting Brent Gove. If you don't know Brent, Brent's like he's going to be speaking to the agents that are in my community here coming up in the next couple of weeks. And Brent's like the number one agent in our company. He's got like 14,000 agents. The good dude makes $1 million a month residual, and he's been very successful real estate agent, but also recruiting as well. And I sent him a message this morning of something that he told me last week, and he says he doesn't tell a lot of people this, but he says I was he tells people like I built my business on my knees praying, and so I texted him this morning and I said I'm going to build my business, my family and my business from my knees praying, and I wrote it on a sticky note and sent it to him early this morning, um, and then he sent me some stuff on Easter and all this stuff, and I sent him a picture of the family, and then he messaged back, and I think this will help answer your question. It says, God has blessed you with a beautiful family. And I think this is for everybody here, right? God's blessed all you guys with beautiful families. And he says, you're already a billionaire. For which child would you trade for 1 billion? They are worth more than everything the world has to offer to you, brother. If someone offered you all of Europe or all of America just to have you give them one of your children, you would never do it. It's crazy. Everything we've ever belonged for and looked for us is right underneath our nose. The Lord is so good. Love you, man. You inspire me. And so, anyways, I think that's the same thing to you, Sierra. Is like, I think like there's the reality of like, okay, we always want things to happen faster than we want them to, and it's like, okay, what's the strategy that's going to allow me to build generational wealth for my family? Because you don't want to get 20 years into the business and have no relationship with your kids, and your kids could care less if you pass them down $20 million, let alone $20, right? They just want you. They just want the relationship with you. And so I think that's what we got to understand is like um, building in those disciplines, building in those things. What are you willing to sacrifice? Maybe it's like most people aren't willing to sacrifice their Netflix or their football games or you know weekends, staying up late on the weekends. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have fun and you shouldn't have a life. I'm not saying any of those things, but it's like those are the things that I would sacrifice versus the time before, like spending time with my kids, right, or with my spouse, and being intentional because for everybody's different. But I know if I just plopped on a show, uh, for me and my wife, that's like kind of just numbing. It's not intentional. But if I sit there and I talk with her or I play a card game or, that's more intentional. And so even though I spent 20, 30 minutes or 40 minutes doing it, it was more intentional versus just popping on a show, not talking to each other. So I think it's just all about different things like that. But yeah, good question. I don't know if that answered it.
No, it's really good. I mean, that's very helpful. Hopefully that helps some other people on the call too. I know it's my biggest hurdle. I know that
Yeah.
because I don't like I just married my oldest one off on March 14th. She got married. And so and her whole life when she was little, I was a single mom and I worked full time and I put myself through nursing school. So I was gone all the time. I worked
Yeah.
all the time. And I got into real estate because I didn't want to work all the time. I wanted to be there more with my kids, and I find that I'm like, it's midnight, it's 1 a.m, it's 2 a.m, I'm still working, and I'm trying to figure out. And I'm 7 years in. It's not like I'm brand new. I'm just still trying to figure out how do people do this and be successful and control their time better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are all great questions. I would read the book Buy Back My Time by Dan Martell. No BS for Time Management. I think those are two great books to start with. Um, I think actually like calendaring your stuff using some of these systems that I dropped in the chat, I think would help you too. Um,
Yeah.
and and I think you're on the right path as far as like wanting to make the cash offer stuff work. So I just think it's like, okay, I think you're asking the right questions. So it's like, how do I continue to ask these questions to get the results I want? And it's like I always say effort is the energy to overcome resistance. But when you have a team of people helping you, it's like you're pushing a car up the hill. But instead of you just pushing it up the hill, you have a team of people helping you push it up the hill. So it's like, who are the people in my life that can help me get to where I want to be? Who has the fruit on the tree? Like how can I learn from that person? So even you showing up here asking questions, like you didn't know I was going to talk about cash offer today. Um, like I think those are all the right things. So I mean, seek and you will find. Like keep seeking, keep knocking, and the right things will happen. As long as you continue to have the right disciplines in place. So um, yeah, I think you're asking the right questions.
All right, thank you. That's all good. All of that's really good, especially the part with the building your business and your family on your knees. I mean, that's so good.
For
Thank
sure.
you.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. I think we're right on time. So I appreciate your guys' time. And you guys all usually know how to get a hold of me. So reach out if you guys got questions. I dropped everything in the chat. It's going to disappear here in like 30 seconds. So just click on those links, pull them up. All right. You guys have a beautiful, blessed day. We'll talk to you guys soon.